Well, I think it's a fantastic play. I mean, it's fun, it's funny, but it's also poignant. I mean, it's a show about four women who all are kind of in a rut, and they spend some magnificent time trying to figure out what it is they need in their lives and what they want in their lives, and they find it in Italy. So it's such a beautiful story. I mean, it really does set up the juxtaposition, the comparison between drab England and vibrant, colorful Italy. And these ladies find themselves just, I guess, through the warmth of their own companionship and the warmth of the countryside. Well, I wanted to direct Enchanted April specifically because it's a great play with great roles for women. And it's such a great experience. It would be a great experience for me to direct a play in which the central characters are women because in my own directing experience, I focus mostly on directing teenage boys in plays. So this would be a real thrill for me to be working with this kind of a cast, with this kind of a story. And I think it'll be a great learning experience for me as a director and as a person to work with this particular piece, because I think it's really going to be fun, and I think it's going to be an experience that we'll all remember because just of the absolute good feelings that this play engenders. I would anticipate that the biggest challenges for this show are going to be technical rather than acting challenges. I think the characters are beautifully drawn. The characters are great character studies for actors. It's got a lot of meat. They're going to enjoy it. The problem, I think, is going to be finding a way to do the double. I mean, it's written almost like a film script, in that there are lots of very small, short scenes. The ones in England bounce from one location to another. So it would be easy to do that on a bare stage sort of concept. But then you have to deal with the lush countryside of the Italian villa. And you want that to really be a beautiful piece. So you can't go from bare stage to lush in an intermission scene change. So we're going to have to find a way to make a unit set really work and be able to change the way the scenery looks by lighting and maybe just the addition of some different props. But I think it's important for the play that we really focus on giving the actors a great playing area, but also giving the audience a visual sense of the difference between drab England and beautiful Italy. I would say that it's a mixture of authoritative sort of martinet and actor's director. In the respect that I really believe in a precise stage picture. I believe that if I put people in certain places, I'm doing that for a reason because I want it to look good. I want the composition to be good. At the same time, I'm an actor's director in that I let the actors work. I let them create their characters with guidance, but I'm not going to impose my interpretation of the role on them. I really think if I cast the show correctly, then the actors will create the characters that we all want. 90% of directing is casting the show in the first place. So I tend to be a nurturing director as long as they fit the framework that I've given them physically. Well, it's a really interesting show in that the breakdown is pretty well drawn out. There's a couple in their 20s, a couple in their 30s, a a couple in their 40s, a more seasoned, mature woman, and a character woman who can be any age, I think, between 40 and 70, who has to have a mastery at least of the pronunciation of the Italian language. So what I'm looking for are going to be people who fit those age groups and who have a certain, I guess, charisma and vivacity. I really want these characters to jump off the stage and be in the audience with our audience. And the other thing we're going to be looking for, obviously, is we're going to be looking for some pretty polished English accents. This is going to be one we're not going to be able to get away with saying, well, just do a Broadway sophisticated accent. No, we need actual upper crust English accents on this one. Well, the main advice I would give you is that come on in and read. If I want to play with your interpretation and ask you to change some things, most of the time that's for me to see if you're adaptable and to see how quickly you think on your feet. I tend to move pretty quickly when I'm putting shows together, and I'm going to want to see some people who are really skilled in getting the basics down, like lines and things like that, and being able to get into the character development pretty quickly. So come in with a dedication to the project, and don't come in with a lot of conflicts, because that will affect how I cast the show. I'm going to be honest there. Well, because the show is sort of divided up like a film, they're very short scenes, very short. So what we'll probably do is spread the rehearsal process over a number of weeks so that we're not there every night. And we'll probably focus on one scene per night. We'll probably block it and retrace the same day. Probably get into character development right away, and then the next time we put the scene on its feet, I'm going to expect the lines to be down. So that would kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking for. I'm going to be setting a schedule that's ambitious without being an overwhelming burden on actors for time and place. I really am excited. The show is beautiful. It's a show where the costumes are going to be beautiful. I mean, my God, it's the time period right after World War I, and these people have some means. So they're going to look good. Hair, makeup. It's just going to be a fun, pretty, inventive, and romantic show. And I think that's what's going to make this thing really connect with the audience. So it should be a good time.